Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are here with the Travel Show where we come to you every month with some great ideas for your traveling desires, pleasures, interests. So we are with our good friend Kathy Janes from Class Act Travel. Kathy, welcome back today.
Thank you. Hi, and how are you?
Great, after that holiday season and the super cold, and now we're all thinking about, what are we going to do come 2 weeks from now, or a month, or 6 weeks from now, or a year from now. You can plan ahead. And Kathy brings with us Cheryl Gatto. Cheryl, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to be here.
Glad you came.
Cheryl is from Scepter, and she was with us probably about a year ago. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but she talked about Iceland. And we're going to talk about Iceland today, and we're going to talk about two other places that begin with the letter I. You think about it. Think about where you could travel that's really great, to the three I's we just talked about. So you're going to hear about Iceland again a little bit, in case you didn't go last time, and a couple other things. So Cheryl, it's great to have you here, and Kathy, it's great to have you here. This is, I feel like right now is the time people really, really get started with thinking about, okay, I want to go somewhere in April, May, or a year from now, in next January. I need to plan ahead because some of these trips you really do need to think about it far in advance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the right time of year to be planning. Travelers like to sit down, and in January, after the holidays are over, it's kind of a lull time, so they become curious about, well, where are we going to go on our next big family vacation, or just the two of us away?
The planning is part of it. The planning, the anticipation, where are we going to go? Are we going to go to here? We're going to go here. That's all part of the vacation, and it just makes it fun, makes it even more exciting because you've got all this work put into it.
It does. That anticipation is part of it. And actually learning about where you're going to go, too, because you want to be an educated traveler. When you get there, you don't want to say, well, I don't know what I'm going to see or what I'm supposed to do.
Where am I going to go? Right.
You don't want to do any of that because it doesn't make the trip as exciting unless you're on a beach somewhere that you really don't want to know very much. You just want to kind of sit there with your pina colada and relax.
Yes.
But sometimes we want to know in advance, really a well-planned trip so we get to take advantage of all the great things that country has to offer. Anyway, Cheryl, what are you going to tell us about today? We've got these gorgeous brochures, these beautiful pictures. I can tell we're going to hear some good stuff.
Well, we're going to talk today about three countries. You mentioned it. The three I's that are very popular in the world of European travel right now. Iceland, Ireland, and Italy.
Did you guess those?
Those were the three that are the top three at this time. And Iceland is number one, I would tell you at this point, because of the recent popularity of the destination. With recent films that have come out, like Game of Thrones, the TV show, certainly the Star Wars show, The Return of the Jedi, with filming that's been done in Ireland and Iceland,
because of its
natural
character.
beauty.
Yeah, oh my goodness, the things in Iceland are so unique, and Ireland being as green as it is, and the history with it, it all kind of works together with all this. It's really, it's super, because you can really get into these countries.
Well, and because of the popularity of it, it does make sense to plan ahead.
Yes.
And when I say plan ahead, I mean really plan ahead, so that you get the lodging that you want, the budget that you're trying to stay within, the flights that you need to travel on, and certainly the dates that you need for your vacation schedules.
Yeah.
So planning ahead is paramount, and I can't stress that enough to the traveler, that it's something that they really have to consider for especially those three destinations for Europe.
And please don't think that if you wait until just before you're going to go, it's going to be cheaper. That does not happen, guys. That is not part of it. The longer you wait, the more expensive it'll get. Please don't think you can get it cheaper because you're going to wait to the end because they want to get rid of the space. That does not happen.
It doesn't happen. And plus, if you really got your heart set on something,
it could be sold out. Yeah,
it could be. And if you watch those shows and that's something of interest to you, or you just want to go there, then you're really disappointed that you're not going. And even sometimes, if that last minute discount comes through, it might not even be as wonderful as you think, and then you can't do the side trips or whatever because
they're just gone. Yeah, it is, and that happens a lot. I mean, we just had a client that's going on a cruise in 2 weeks, and he forgot to make his airfare. His airfare was astronomical.
Oh, wow.
And there's nothing you can do. It just is what it is.
Yes.
But you've got to think this through, guys, and book it now. If you're going to talk about April, May, whatever, get it booked now. Get your airfare now, and then relax and study. I mean, basically study.
Right. So, okay, now if you're going to Iceland, what are we looking to do there?
Well, in Iceland, it's a soft adventure destination is the best way that I could describe it to the viewer, is that it is pristine, it's natural, it is the new hot destination for certainly the millennial audience because of the amount of outdoor activities. So Iceland is not a location for museums or high-end culture. Although they have their own culture, it's not a museum location like Italy would be. But Iceland has natural beauty. It's got hiking. It's got waterfalls. It's got geology that's over the top. Of course, certainly the Blue Lagoon is the most well-known site in Iceland. People always want to talk about the Blue Lagoon or go there.
Well, your point that you were making earlier about the two plates, that you had one plate on us and then one plate on the European one.
Right.
And just because the plates meet there in Iceland.
It's called the Thingvellir National Park. And it's a site that anybody who goes to Iceland wants to visit it because they've already heard about the geology, the natural formations of the earth that are formed right there at this particular spot.
I see.
So when you go through Thingvellir National Park, you are walking down a path, and on one side of you is the North American plate, and on the other side of the path is the Eurasian plate. Oh. So you could literally be in Asia and in North America at the same time. So it's kind of a rarity.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's an amazing destination if you love photography, nature, anything with geology. It's certainly for the outdoorsman.
Sounds like a very active kind of vacation.
It is an active destination.
The Northern Lights.
Northern
whales,
Lights, of course, humpback whales, whale watching. The food is sensational. People think, oh my gosh, what could be good to eat in Iceland? But because it's an island, it's obviously surrounded by amazing, clean, cold waters. So they get the most amazing fresh fish. They raise sheep, so there's lots of lamb and beef. So the meats and so forth that you eat are clean and pure, and it hasn't been overridden by too much civilization. Yes.
Okay, now this Blue Lagoon section that people still want to go to, what is it? What do we do there?
Okay, so the Blue Lagoon is, I don't want to call it a resort because that's not quite what it is, but it is a pond area that is beautiful. And can I hold up a picture of it? Okay. So this would be a really good representation of the Blue Lagoon. You can see the milky colored blue waters. It's an enormous area of water. Shallow waters, always at 92 degrees, and people go there for the medicinal and therapeutic.
Well, it's like sulfur too. Is it like a
right? Yeah. Because the ground around the lagoon is all volcanic. There is so many minerals that are pulled into those waters.
Okay.
So it's always running at 92 degrees year round. And people go there that want to sit down and get relief from, say, arthritis or other skin ailments, or certainly, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. It's a shallow lagoon. So it's not like you dive in and go swimming. You walk into it and you wander through the waters.
And the best part, it has a swim-up bar.
It does. It has a swim-up bar. You can sit down and you can sit down and have a cocktail while you're sitting in the lagoon,
Sounds lovely.
Taking in the wonderful waters. There's other features and benefits that the lagoon also has. They have in-water massage treatments that you can get. So depending upon the kind of massage that you would want, they have therapists there that will sit down and help you with that. It's really quite the destination in and of itself, just the Blue Lagoon.
Okay, so that's another part that you want to get your hiking and then go in the lagoon and
just relax.
Right. The Blue Lagoon is maybe about 20 minutes away from the Keflavik Airport. So a lot of people sit down and they'll fly into Keflavik Airport, and then they'll maybe go to the lagoon right away, or they wait until the end of the trip and then they go to the lagoon on their last day on their way home.
Take that with
before
them.
They,
Take
before
that,
they
yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's a good length that people like to spend in Iceland to see this sort of thing? Because it's not tremendously large, and
No.
there's like you said, the activities are maybe a little bit more limited there.
Right. So Iceland has an entire population of 330,000 people.
Oh wow!
It's no larger than the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
So you realize what we're dealing with in terms of geography here.
Yeah.
It's again, depending upon what the the client wants to do, they can. I recommend 6 days, 5 nights, or 5 days, 4 nights.
Okay.
You don't need any more time there than that, unless you're there for another specific, reason. You can literally drive around the entire island in a week on one road. So now seasonality, of course, is a big deal because you want to go, not in the dead of winter because you can't necessarily drive around the whole island
correct,
in January, December, January, February. But if you want to see the blue whale, which is the largest mammal on Earth, that is up at the Akureyri, which is up north in northern Iceland. And the blue whale he likes to hang out in those deep, deep waters up there because they're very, very cold, very, very deep, and that's where he makes his home. So Akureyri is a place where visitors like to go, say, in the summer and early fall.
Yeah. So
that's a nice time to go if you're into, certainly marine life and you're a student of whale and marine mammals.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like a great place to go. It can't take very long to get there. What, 4 or 5 hours?
From Chicago, it's a 6-hour flight.
Okay.
It's a nonstop. Iceland Air has a nonstop flight out of Chicago right to Reykjavik. It leaves in the early afternoon, I think about 5, 6 o'clock.
Right.
You get there the next morning, and the interesting part of Iceland Air, from there you go to Europe. You can go to Ireland, you can go to Germany, you can go wherever from there. Use Iceland as a stopover for 4 nights or however, just to get either going or coming. I think it works very well that way, especially Iceland Air is tremendous. I mean, they're very, very nice people to work with. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
So
excellent.
you can, leave Iceland and then
Continue
what would it
on.
be? Another 3, 4 or so hours to get to say Ireland.
Oh, no. From Reykjavik to Dublin
Yeah.
would be maybe an hour airtime.
Oh wow! Oh,
It's
so
really
it
very
goes,
close.
I'll
yeah,
have
it
to look
goes
at my
up.
globe and
Yeah.
It goes
see.
up and down.
Yes.
That's the one thing I learned is if you go over, it's shorter than going this way. Well, yeah, it makes
that
sense.
makes-
If
it does make
you,
sense.
If you think, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
now we're going to leave Ireland. We're going to move on to Ireland. We decide, that would be a great 2-part to this trip. So now
Absolutely.
we're going to go to Ireland, and you mentioned Dublin. And is there, the places people think about going, big cities that they've heard of, or what I think is a big city?
Dublin,
Dublin is,
Belfast,
yes.
Right,
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
places.
Galway.
Is that what you recommend that people do, especially if they're first-time travelers,
Yes.
or no?
Yes. So I recommend for the traveler, for the first-time visitor to Ireland, and Ireland is very, very popular
Yeah,
right
oh,
now.
yeah.
Make no
Yeah.
mistake. It is equally as popular because it probably offers, more than what Iceland offers.
Absolutely.
For the visitor. So it's popular for so many things. It's popular for genealogy, of course. People want to find their Irish roots. It's popular for just world history that's there. It's popular if you just want to do a
Guinness.
city stay and just go
Guinness.
into Dublin.
Guinness.
And
Sorry.
just go to Dublin.
Sorry.
If you just want to go to Dublin, it's great for all age groups. It's an amazing destination and very, very popular.
Okay, so then is there a tour of that where you kind of go from place to place with a group of people, or do you just set up your own little tour and just kind of do your own thing because this is not very large either?
No, it isn't very large. And Ireland is a destination where you can certainly drive it yourself, and you can also go on a motor coach with a guided, escorted tour program.
Right.
My company does self-drive programs in Ireland and all of Europe. We also feature rail programs, so if you enjoy rail travel, we can sit down and help you with rail travel,
Yeah.
as well as chauffeur driver.
Pretty picture.
So if you're interested in a chauffeur driving you around and you don't want to drive on the opposite side of the road from what we're used to.
Right.
It is.
Right.
But independent travel, because we have found that independent travel is becoming more the norm. And why? Because the baby boomer market, and let's face it, this is
That's
the
the biggie.
audience that's traveling a lot to Europe.
Yes.
The baby boomer market has already done the escorted tour to the must-see, must-do countries, must-see, must-do cities. Now they're looking for more of the independent
And they can
travel.
do their own thing. They can go where they want. They can stay how long here and continue, do whatever.
Exactly.
We had one that did Ireland from Dublin. He went up north to Belfast and took the giant causeway across, came back down the other side, and he loved it. It was their own pace. So they
Right.
could stay someplace if they wanted to or leave. It's whatever they chose to do.
Well, I think there's a comfort factor too. If you've been there before, you kind of are comfortable
Yeah.
with the thing. The language is not a problem. The driving, but reading is not a problem. Somewhere like that, you feel a little bit more comfortable, and doing your own trip gets you where you want to go, doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
exactly
Yeah.
right. Yes. And there's different parts of Ireland. So if you want to go up to the north, that's almost a trip in and of itself. Okay, because of just how much is up there. And then if you want to come down to the Republic of Ireland and go south, down to the coastal areas, and then maybe drive all the way up to the Wild Atlantic Way on the west coast of Ireland, there's so much over there. So I actually have a client who has been literally taken over 100 groups.
Wow.
She has taken personally
That's cool.
100 groups to Ireland.
That's a
and
lot of-
every one of her itineraries have been different. So that when
How
I tell
neat.
you that even though it's a compact country,
There's a lot.
There's
There's a
so
lot.
much world history in that compact country, which obviously speaks to the fact that she can modify these itineraries.
and show people different things, different
Exactly.
parts. Yeah, really cool.
Exactly. They're very friendly. They love Americans. They embrace the traveler to come and visit the country. They're only too happy to help you if you get lost on the road. By the way, sheep always have the right of way on the road. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't argue with the sheep on the
Oh
road.
no! You're driving along. The sheep have the right of way. So
Okay,
you have
we'll
to give
wait,
way to
we'll
them.
wait, yeah.
Exactly. But it's a charming destination, and that's another destination that requires pre-planning and getting your accommodations booked. This is January. It's not unusual right now to sit down and be talking. If somebody wants to go in October, you better get it booked now.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yes.
I guess that's so stunning. You don't think there's that many people out traveling, but I guess being in any airport and they're burgeoning with
yeah.
people. So you do need to make your plans ahead of time. I mean, we did something really simple, like we went to Grand Canyon National Park 5 months ahead of time. I'm trying to book a room. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're too late."
Yeah,
Yes.
sold out.
So I mean, you really
Yeah.
do have to plan ahead of time, especially if you have specifics in mind. If you don't really care as much,
Right.
you might have a little bit more luck.
Right, yes. If your budget is as such where you can, afford almost any accommodation that might be
That's
available
fine, yeah.
during your time frame, that's one thing. But if you have a set budget and a set time and this is your work schedule vacation time frame, it's got to get booked.
It really-
it really does.
So
And
thank
that's that's the primary emphasis this year is book it.
Book it.
Get it
I agree.
booked.
Don't
Plan
wait.
and book.
Please don't
Plan and
wait.
book.
If you want to do it, do
That's
it.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Well, speaking of history, then the Third Eye, Italy. I mean, that is a place just laden with ancient history, current history, and that sounds like a really great destination for a lot of people. That seems like one of the really big places that people do want to go to because of the history. there.
It is. It is. And Italy, much like Ireland, lends itself to, ancestry and genealogy
Yes,
research and so
absolutely.
forth.
Sure.
So lots of people are making their travel plans to incorporate an Italian ancestry research program, working with genealogists there, as well as in Ireland. But people want to go to Italy for any various number of reasons. They want to sit down and reconnect with family members. They want to do a culinary experience. They want to do a wine and culinary experience.
Make pizza.
Maybe they're into automobiles and they want to go and visit some of the amazing automakers that are in Italy.
Correct.
So people go there for any number of reasons. And there's so many different parts of Italy that are so quite unique and different from each other. The Amalfi Coast is different from, say, the Tuscany region. And then the north is completely different than the
Different yet,
south.
right.
Right. And let's not forget Sicily. even though that's right off the boot, of Italy. But Sicily is also very popular. And even though that's not an I, it is part of that geography.
Italian experience.
The
let's say.
Italian
Yeah.
experience, exactly
Really is,
right.
wow.
Yes.
Because
So Scepter has a fabulous program called Our Tuscany Landscapes and Culinary
yeah.
Treasures. Kathy was looking at it earlier. And
it's fascinating.
you know,
It just is. It's just cool.
It incorporates a cooking class, it incorporates a wine tasting, and it incorporates pizza making, all at a local villa
Yep.
where you would be staying during your trip. So there's many different themes, if you will, to stay in Italy. It could be, like I said, culinary. It could be wine. It could be just history. It could be faith-based.
Absolutely,
It
because
could
there's
be
a lot.
faith-based.
Yes, a lot.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So something like that, the Tuscany Landscape and Culinary Treasures, that is you're staying in a specific spot, doing things from that area.
Right. So you're using the villa that you would be staying at as your hub. And then from there you go out and do day trips from there.
Because you're not far from Florence in this area.
That's
or Pisa.
exactly right. You are in the Tuscany region.
And there's a little town here, I always mispronounce this, so forgive me, San Gimignano,
San Gimignano.
which is a walled city. And this is how it was protected. This is what they did. That's a great place to go visit, too, because it is so old.
Yes, it's a
And just
renaissance.
cool.
It's a
Yeah.
total renaissance.
That's just
Like
cool.
1300s,
Yeah.
14th century.
It's just amazing.
Very charming.
It would seem like that kind of vacation, either you just want that experience of like more absorbing into the culture than going to, the historic sites and museums and churches and so on. Or maybe you did that already and you want
Right.
to
Do something different,
You
yeah.
do, because this would be really being more, just getting familiar with the countryside, which I think is really a good way to know the country.
Whenever there's a feature film that's out, certainly when that movie Gladiator was out, it drew so much attention to the countryside of Italy, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to go there. I've got to see the landscape. I've got to see these mountains. I've got to see these valleys."
That's what happened with Tuscany when that movie came out, too, the same way.
Right, under the Tuscan sun.
Yes,
exactly.
that was with Tuscany. Everybody had to go there. They had to go see it because,
Right.
oh my goodness, it was in the movie. I got to go see what it all
pretty.
looks. Yeah, really cool. Yeah.
Yes. So I have to say, the feature films that are out will sit down and draw attention to, I want to go to Italy, I want to go to Iceland, I want to go to Ireland, I want to learn
Three
about these
eyes.
places.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about that film that's out now, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, filmed almost exclusively in Ireland, along the coast, the west coast of Ireland, and many shots were filmed on an island called Skellig Michael. And Skellig Michael is a little island that most people have never even heard of, but it's off the west coast of Ireland, and it is a very sacred location. And it's on the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So the Chicago Tribune did a nice piece on it about 2 weeks ago about how much attention that this area has been capturing because of the film.
Because of the movie.
Because of the film. Yes, exactly right.
Because of the movie.
And they want to keep it sacred. They want to keep it private. It's not easy to get to, but it's certainly worth it if that's something that you have interest in, to learn why it is such a sacred site to the Irish people. So a little bit of history on Skellig Michael. It was it was a sacred site that the monks on the mainland of Ireland escaped to sit down and protect a lot of the history, the Christian history. And they wanted to be more protected, so they escaped to this island, which was very remote and very difficult to get to.
Okay, so now some of these places then, is it kind of difficult for like a tourist or visitor to go because they really want to keep it protected? Do they really want all this notoriety that a movie would bring?
And that's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
It
a
is.
slippery slope.
But it's a two-sided coin because it brings in money, but yet it's taking away.
Need a balance. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe they
it's
only
real
allow
difficult, yeah.
a certain
So
amount of
for
people.
Skellig Michael, the Irish government is sitting down, and Tourism Ireland is sitting down, looking at controlling the numbers that
They're gonna
are
have to,
able to go and visit some of these sites. They want to make sure that people have the opportunity to learn about it, but they also want to make sure that they know that it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Again, and what does that go back to? Planning.
Right,
Yes,
right.
So
absolutely.
if you do want
Absolutely,
to,
sure.
visit a site like that, it has to be organized and
because you
planned
might
well
not be
in
able
advance.
to get to it
Oh,
when
that's
you're there.
exactly right.
And the same thing with Alcatraz in San Francisco. The same thing with the Arizona in Hawaii. If you
Right.
don't plan for this, you
You're
might not
gonna-
get to see it.
That's exactly right.
One more quick thing before we forget about Ireland, the Gulf there.
Oh, yes.
Golfing.
Oh, golf.
Yeah.
Yes. So golf is very popular in Ireland. It's certainly more affordable in Ireland than it is in Scotland. So if there's golfers out there, that's something that you might want to consider. That we make it very available and very accessible. But that's another planning topic.
Yep.
Golf has to be planned. So you don't have to do an entire golf package. You could have your Ireland vacation already planned, and if you wanted to add a round of golf to your existing vacation, you could do that, or you could and maybe even combine it with Scotland, because golfers want to golf and they want to sit down and visit some of the most amazing golf courses that are out
Because
there.
you hear about them. I mean, they talk about them all the
Absolutely
time,
right.
and they want to go and say, "I golfed."
I was
At
there.
this,
Yeah,
right,
right.
that's exactly
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
again, that's a thing you really do need to plan ahead for.
Exactly. Mhm.
Otherwise, you get there, you don't want to drag your clubs all the way there and then not be able to golf. Right?
Well, right, and golfers are so serious about their sport that they, they will bring their own clubs, and then there's a dynamic with that as well. Is that in Ireland they rent a lot of smaller vehicles when you're driving yourself around.
It's true.
If you're bringing
That's
your
true.
own golf clubs, you have to sit down and take into consideration a larger vehicle because you have to get your golf case in there, your club cases
Right.
in
Yeah.
the vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's a talking point that usually
You have to
you
realize
don't
that
think about
right,
it. It
right.
has to be thought about well in advance.
between the suitcases and your golf
Golf
clubs,
clubs.
something has to fit in here, or it's going to be left behind. So
That's
you do have
exactly
to get
right.
a bigger car.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
just for that.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially if there's a foursome, and that's
Yeah.
usually what you'll find with golfers. There's
Yeah.
always going to be a foursome, usually traveling together.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, these are great destinations, and you can find out more from Kathy Janes at Class Act Travel in Worth. Kathy, you want to give the address there?
Sure. It's 6946 West 111th Street. We're on the corner of 111th and Worth Avenue. Our phone number is 708-448-6560. Now, don't laugh at this. Our slogan is, make your next trip a class act.
Oh, that's easy to remember. And we thank Cheryl for bringing all these
Thank
great
you.
ideas here.
Thank
And
you.
if there's ever something that you need to know, Cheryl gave us a lot of information, but maybe the question you had wasn't answered. Well, that's why you're going to call Kathy. And if she doesn't have the answer, she can get a hold of Cheryl, and they will.
We'll find it out.
They'll
Yeah.
find out and
Absolutely.
make your trip unforgettable. So you want to, if you learned anything today, there's a lot out there to see, but you want to plan ahead. And that's something that we really want to emphasize today. So thanks again, Cheryl, for being with us.
Thank you
from
so
Scepter.
much.
Thank you, Kathy, from
Thank
Classic
you.
Travel. And we'll see you next time on The Travel Show. Have a good one. Bye-bye.